What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill, bro, dude, and we are back for yet another off-season episode. There's nothing really going on in the NBA, so today we are going to do some tier rankings of the last 15 NBA drafts, so 2019 through 2023. What?
No, I'm saying that. So this is I'm doing
celebrating.
I'm doing a visual cues. 2019 over here, 2023 over here. That's
like a John Boy's video. We're like,
right.
Here's the timeline.
Right.
We're very low budget. I literally just put this podcast was recorded 15 minutes late because I forgot to put the tier maker together. So
it's fine. This is what everyone gets what they pay for, except for the Patreon subscribers.
I was gonna say you have
less than what they pay for.
This is what happens when you have a podcast hosted by someone with severe ADHD. I spend all day hyper focusing on the draft classes and not actually making the tiers, which is what I was supposed to be doing. We have it set up now. We're ready to go. Promo code SLOP.
Yeah.
Before we get canceled, promo code SLOP, $100 deposit match today on Underdog. You could do NFL season stuff right now. You could do higher or lower on their pick 'em with your favorite player stats. The Eagles just had their open practice last night at Lincoln Financial Field, and there were tens of thousands of people there literally just to watch the team practice. So, everyone is truly in sicko mode right now. So if you want to go on there for AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, all of them, Dallas Goedert, they got them all available on Underdog. That will hold you over at least, over the next few weeks through preseason for the, at least the World Cup. I'm not sure if you could do World Cup stuff on there. Well, I'll have to ask them, but it's possible they always have shit up there for everything. So if you want to do that, you could sign up today. And then once the NBA season comes around, of course, you can do pick them in their fantasy drafts. And you can also do Best Ball Mania for the NFL and NBA seasons and build a team for the whole season. So if you've not already, sign up for Underdog. It's a lot of fun. All right, so let's get into it. We are going to be doing tier rankings for the last 15 NBA drafts. Like I said, we're going to start all the way back in 2009. And 2009, I'm going to pull up the screen right now. Back in 2009, obviously, this is a historical draft. I went above and beyond for this one. Because not only do we have the draft classes themselves, we have the S tier, the A tier, the B tier, the C tier, the D tier. I didn't put an F tier on there. It's kind of self-explanatory that D is the lowest that you can go. Yeah. Also, I was literally making it right before this podcast. So. Okay,
it's I did
that on purpose. Actually,
yeah, it was high quality. Yeah, don't worry about it. This was a choice we made together.
Yes. So, back in 2009. We obviously I went beyond just who was drafted. I also have a list of the undrafted players as well as the drafted players from that draft. But everyone knows this draft, mostly because it is the Steph Curry draft. Also, James Harden went in the top of this draft. You know what's funny about this draft to me?
What's that?
Blake Griffin was the first pick, and a very good first pick.
Yeah.
In most drafts, you would be thrilled to come away with a Blake Griffin career. He made like 5 or 6 all-star teams. I would say he's probably at one point was an MVP candidate, was, when healthy, one of the best 10 players in the NBA for a stretch. He also had multiple all NBA teams. And just the fact that this draft was so insanely strong, he's not even one of the 2 best players from this draft.
What I was going to ask you is, who do you think is the 3rd best player in terms of win shares in this draft?
I have not looked at it, but Blake didn't play enough games. DeMar's not a good analytical guy. I'm going to say Drew Holiday.
It was DeMar. You were correct.
It was DeMar.
It was DeMar, yes. So DeMar DeRozan. Also, Jeff Teague, another all-star from this draft class.
Yeah.
At 19, Drew Holiday at 17. Like a lot of good things scattered throughout here.
I mean, Ty Lawson didn't make an all-star team, but was in the conversation at least 1 or 2 seasons. Danny Green, one of the best role players of the last 15 to 20 years. If the Danny Green argument for the Hall of Fame is always funny for me. I don't think he's going to make it. I don't think he should make it. Yeah. But he's certainly a guy who has had, as a 4th or 5th guy on some really great teams. If Danny Green was on your team, your team was just good. Like that was just kind of the things, at least throughout, the majority of his 20s and the beginning of his 30s, before he kind of fell off physically recently. But like, this is a crazy strong draft. At the top, especially, you have, I have it up here for the VORP. Harden's actually won in VORP.
Yeah.
He's over Steph. If you look,
I
mean, he is the ultimate calculator rat player, obviously the Daryl Morey experience in Houston. And then Steph is 2, but obviously Steph's the best and most accomplished player from this draft. I don't know if you you didn't listen to the Bill and Russillo pod, but on there, Bill was making fun of Steph because he's like, Steph was the 7th pick in the draft, one of the most popular college players the last 20 years. And he has a whole documentary coming out, like one of the best college players of all time, really. And he was like, and he has this whole documentary coming out, underrated. Son of an NBA player.
That's like true. I mean, like Steph was like, I remember the lean years when like Steph's ankle injuries, like that should be the angle.
Sure.
That like his ankles were never going to be good enough for him to play.
I'm sure it's in there.
Yeah. Cause like everyone was pretty, I don't know. I remember people being really excited about Ricky Rubio this draft.
Yep.
I remember Blake being like the surefire, like number 1. I remember that, but I think you could have taken Steph pretty much anywhere after that. I mean, a lot of Hasheem Thabit had his like admirers, but like I really think starting at 2, I saw some mocks where Steph was 2. I saw some mocks where he was like 17. So like it was he was kind of all over the place with some of this.
I was gonna say I feel like as more of a casual fan back in 2009, I love Steph Curry and didn't understand why he wasn't going in the top 3. But that also is the rare instance where the great college player turns out to be one of the greatest players of all time. Like, it's not to say that, guys that are the greatest players of all time weren't also great in college. It's to say that Steph translating and hitting literally the highest peak and revolutionizing the NBA was not something obviously anyone saw coming. He wouldn't have went with the 7th pick of the draft if that were the case. But I mean, I think you could go, like you said, I think he could have gone as high as 3 in this draft. I think you're right. I think Rubio was even younger coming into this draft. I think he was one of the youngest players in this draft. Another guy who had just like a solid NBA career, nothing to write home about, but pretty good NBA career. If you got Ricky Rubio with the average 5th pick in the draft, you're not pumped, but like it's fine. The problem is that Steph Curry went 2 picks later.
Exactly.
And even guys like DeMar DeRozan and Drew Holiday, who you mentioned, went a little bit later too.
Yeah, no, I mean this was but you brought up Danny Green in the 2nd round. That was actually a pretty loaded 2nd round. Pat Beverly in the 2nd round. Patty Mills late in this 2nd round. And then also, and then you go down a little bit of a tier. You've got like Jonas Jerebko and like Chase Budinger and some of these.
Yeah, it gets kind of ugly after pick 16 in this. Not pick 16. But if you're ranking VORP on Basketball Reference, Taj Gibson is 16 on here. And then after that, it's like, Damari Carroll. Okay, I'll give Damari Carroll.
Oh, yeah.
But then it becomes like Marcus Thornton, Jody Meeks, like Jonas Jerebko, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
Like, not the deepest class you would, but a totally fine draft class when you're considering how good the top is. And also, if I dug up some of the undrafted guys from this draft, you also had Wesley Matthews, Garrett Temple, Aaron Baines, and Joe Ingles. So if you think the average draft has about 20 guys, which is usually around the number, about 20 guys that have legit NBA careers, you can find 20 guys in this draft. Like, of varying levels of rotation player for at least 5 years, I would say, if not more. Some guys that popped a little bit later, like, Joe Ingles was older when he came over to the NBA.
Yeah.
And then there are plenty of guys in here who just had like, even guys like Drew and DeMar still playing at like an all-star level in their 30s is kind of crazy when you consider the fact that, like, if you look back at some of these older drafts, most of these guys aren't even aren't nearly as effective as they were a few years ago. So I think this is with 2 all-time greats, a really good number 1 overall pick, and then a bunch of guys who were like, I think Drew and DeMar are like borderline Hall of Fame, I would say. Not going to make the Hall of Fame, but probably just on that borderline. The Blake Griffin Hall of Fame case for me is interesting. Do you think that he should make it, or do you think he'll miss it?
I think he should. I mean, I don't know. His peak was so. This is just off the top of my head. I haven't like really looked at it, to be honest. But like, I just think about like those years he got MVP votes, I think, in more than 1 year. Like, that's a pretty good start, man. There aren't a lot of guys who got MVP votes in more than 1 year who are, I don't know. Like, I think he was, what was he, 8-time All-Star? 7-time All-Star?
That's the thing. He only made 6.
Okay. Well, that's less than I thought, but
he made 6 All-Star teams. He made All-Star team his rookie year, but he didn't play his true rookie year.
Right.
It was the Ben Simmons situation where, he was obviously the first to do that. He had a knee injury, but then he had 5 straight All-Star teams to open up his career from age 21 to 25 before the injuries really started to kick in.
That's even less than I thought. Because I forgot he got that kind of Mickey Mouse one in 18-19 with the
No, he was really good that year.
I mean, he was good, but like he wasn't playing like meaningful basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he was the best guy on a bad team, but that was arguably that was like his comeback season because he had so many injuries in those few years before, and he kept missing it due to kind of just not being quite the same and games played. And he changed his game a little bit. He added the 3-point shot for that season. He shot 7 threes per game in that season randomly. And kind of and extended his career kind of off of that into his 30s. He's a guy that you figure when the athleticism was gone, he was just going to be completely out of the league. And he's at least extended his career enough to the point where like the jump shooting has helped him kind of get to that point. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think based on what the barrier for Hall of Fame is, I think he probably will end up making it. Yeah. 6-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. That feels like he'll probably make. So you have 3 Hall of Famers, 2 borderline. I think this is an S-tier draft. Like, I think that this is just the fact that you have one of the 10 greatest players of all time.
Yeah, I guess
another true. MVP in James Harden. Like,
that's true.
It's hard to keep out this. It's hard to keep this one out of the top tier when you consider.
Yeah, let's say 7. Let's start at 7, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so we have S. Yeah, we have the S tier for this one. Also, I do see Basketball Chess in the comments says Harden has a higher VORP because he played 4,000 more minutes than Steph. He also has a higher BPM for his career. So, and that's not based on games played, I believe, or minutes played. That is 6.7. He has a 6.7 career BPM. Steph has a 6.6. But as a playoff performer and at his peak, we obviously know Steph Curry is one of the 10 best players of all time. And James Harden, while great career, more like one of the 30 best players of all time, 35. But yeah, so let's move on to the next draft. And we have the 2010 NBA draft, which is not nearly as strong as the 2009 draft. This draft is not quite as top heavy. The best player in this draft was Paul George. The number 1 overall pick was John Wall. Other noticeable guys at the top of this draft were Gordon Hayward, DeMarcus Cousins, and Eric Bledsoe, who actually went a little bit later, I believe. I think he went with the 18th pick, but he turned out to be one of the better players from this draft. So yeah, this one, I mean,
I mean, it gets rough quick, man. Like you could make art, like listen to like after Eric Bledsoe, because you've got your top four. You got Paul George, John Wall, Gordon Hayward, DeMarcus Cousins. Then you've got Eric Bledsoe, who's like a little polarizing. Like he had like he was really good for a little bit, but then was also like pretty bad pretty quickly. Then you get to like Greg Monroe, Hassan Whiteside, and Derek Favors. Patrick Patterson is 9. Al Farouk Aminu 10. Ed Davis 11.
Yeah,
like Bielitsa is 12 in this one. You get to Trevor Booker and Landry Fields at 13-14.
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
That's tough, man.
This is
a pretty brutal. This might be a D tier draft.
This is a really bad draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only one Hall of Famer from this whole draft, and it's
Paul George, right?
How many All-Star games did John Wall make? I don't think John Wall's going to make.
I don't think he's going to make
the Hall of Fame
because the impact. He just like didn't play enough playoff games, even if he's got more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 All-Star games for John Wall.
So he made one less All-Star team than Blake Griffin.
Mm-hmm.
He only won one playoff series in his career. I think maybe 2 tops. I don't know. I look, Blake Griffin never made it to a conference finals when he was one of the best players, but he was in a really good Western Conference and made it to the second round at least 3 times.
And he also, John Wall only made All NBA once.
Yeah, only made All NBA once. That's tough. Yeah, I think that Paul George is the only Hall of Famer in this draft.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is D tier, like pretty brutally.
Let's see it.
It's just so not like there's like 5 guys who aren't like rotation bigs in this draft. Like Greg Monroe and Hassan Whiteside at 5 and 6 that's brutal, man.
Yeah, it gets really tough really quick, especially because those guys, that archetype of big was Monroe was like fell off a cliff when he got into his late 20s. Hassan Whiteside had like a very good career for a second round pick. And honestly, I would argue that Hassan Whiteside's just as good as a lot of backup bigs in the current NBA. I just don't think he has any interest in being a backup big in the NBA anymore. But the like you said, there's no depth in this class either. Like you said, it falls off a cliff when you go from Eric Bledsoe to Greg Monroe. But then it dips even further. God damn, I can't believe Derek Favors was. For some reason, Derek Favors always seems so old in my mind, and he's still like 32, I think. Maybe 30. I think he's literally my age, 33.
Yeah.
And just recently kind of ended his own NBA career. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think this is a really bad draft. Paul George at the top is kind of the only saving grace. He was the 10th pick in this draft. And was kind of obviously not expected. He went with the 10th pick. Turned out to be, I think Paul George has had a very underrated career, if anything, because there were the jokes about playoff pandemic P and way off P. And he's been the best player on 3 conference finals teams. Like, say what you will about him. He's had a very, very good NBA career, but if he's the best player from a draft, it's not a super strong draft. Like, it's just not. I think that you're right. I think we have to put this in D tier.
We should at least start with it at D tier. Maybe if we find like once we get to like the 2013 draft, we'll like or 2014 draft, which is the bad one. 2013, I think. Yeah. So that's pretty tough. We might have to make move it up to C tier once we get to some of these other drafts. But all right, so let's move on to 2011, which was, once again, we're back at business. Oh, an amazing draft. Oh, by the way, I just want to mention the undrafted guys don't really. There are some drafts where you think that they're like, this is a fine draft, but then it actually, when you look at the undrafted guys, it becomes a good draft because they didn't get picked, but they were in the class. There's one year in particular I'll bring up later that, like, I would say boosts it up a tier how good the undrafted class is. This is not that draft class. You had some guys who had decent careers: Ish Smith, Jeremy Lin, Boban, and Lance Thomas. But Jeremy Lin's really the only one that had, a moment in the NBA. Ish Smith's been on 100 teams.
Boban's somehow still in the league, I think, or he might be out now, but was in the league as early as this past year. But there's nothing to really kind of bring this class up a notch, despite the fact that they had nice careers.
This is also, I'm seeing that they've on this draft class, they've taken away Enos Freedom's college affiliation, probably for speaking too much truth, but he is a proud Kentucky Wildcat. So
never played,
but he was a Kentucky Wildcat, though. I don't understand.
He was supposed to.
Yeah.
No. Well, no, Enes Kanter played there. Enes Freedom did not.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He once the patriotic spirit entered him, he transformed. It's kind of like when Goku and Goten and Trunks do the little fusion dance and become.
Yeah, sure. Whatever. So 2011 draft.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler has officially passed Kawhi Leonard on the VORP level. Not sure if you see this. He just passed him.
I do see that. Can I say something about this draft I'm noticing?
What's that?
This might be the most injury-prone draft class of all time.
It's very injury-prone. That's a good point.
Yeah. We've got the top four: Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, and Kemba Walker.
I don't think Jimmy Butler is injury prone. I think he played for Tom Thibodeau and was older when he came into the league.
Maybe that's fair. But then you've also got Isaiah Thomas and Klay Thompson. I mean, like Klay, it's probably unfair where he had like a very traumatic injury and it just seems like he kind of re-injured some of that stuff. But like,
did you point out Chandler Parsons?
I did not point out Chandler Parsons.
But what I'm saying here is that Chandler Parsons is a very injury-prone guy, obviously, that kind of derailed his entire career. And there are even some guys later in this draft, like Alec Burks, who finally got healthy in his late 20s. But remember, for like, the first 6 years of his career, 7 years of his career, he just never could stay healthy. And he's actually turned himself into a very nice role player. But it took, his breakout, this is the 2011 draft, right? Alec Burks' quote unquote breakout season when he became a for sure rotation player was the season he got traded to the Sixers in 2019. So it was 2019, 2020. It took 8 years for him just to kind of get healthy and get right. So this is an extremely injury prone draft class.
Brutal draft. Take white guys top 10. Also, Jan Vesely and Jimmer Fredette, both amongst last place. You know who's the worst in terms of VORP in this draft class?
The worst in terms of VORP in the 2011 draft.
Yes.
I'm never going to guess it, am I?
It is LeBron James' favorite, Norris Cole.
Oh, wow.
Negative 4.1 is because he's like one of the only ones to play. And
play sure real minutes that he saw.
Yeah. And I'm sure his on-offs were like terrible with the Heat on those like Heat teams. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Wow, Norris Cole. Oh, God.
How about naming some guys? That's a naming some guys' name.
Honestly, his VORP is twice as bad as Bismack Biyombo, who is the second worst VORP in this class. So I don't believe in the methodology. If our guy Bismack is that low,
that's true. Bismack is way better than pretty much everyone in this draft class.
Also, another thing I want to point out about this draft class, very weird. Most of these, when you look at the undrafted class, there's at least 3 guys who had an NBA career. This class had 1 guy who played more than like 3 seasons in the NBA, and it was Justin Holiday, and that's it. Like pretty much no one else. I can't believe Justin Holiday didn't get drafted on the back of his brother being Drew.
Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of the only reason he hung around in the NBA was because his brother was Drew. I've never thought Justin Holiday was very good.
I think he's like a fine bench wing, though.
It's okay. I don't know. I feel like there are other guys probably.
Who has a strong opinion on Justin Holiday?
Me. I'm anti Justin Holiday. Get out of here.
I think he's fine. He had like 2 or 3 seasons in his like late 20s when he shot like 40% from 3 on decent volume for the Pacers, and I was like, he was solid. I was dying for the Sixers to get him because we had our best bench wing was like. I was probably Furkan Korkmaz at that point.
Also, I'm realizing I'm I was thinking of Aaron Holiday. Justin's okay.
Oh, no, yeah. I was like, Aaron Holiday is the one who is not. Yeah, he was drafted in 2018. That was 7 years later. And he got drafted on this. I remember saying, like, is he only getting drafted because of his brothers?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he had a fine career. Okay, so top of this draft, number 1 pick, you have Kyrie Irving. Very good number 1 pick. Honestly, if it weren't for injuries and self-inflicted things.
Yeah.
Kyrie might be Kyrie might even be higher on this in terms of like impact stats and in terms of public perception, I should say. I mean, people love Kyrie, don't get me wrong. How many All-Star games has Kyrie even made in his career? It's got to be like 9.
No, it's a ton. Yeah, it's like 9. Like he's gonna make the Hall of Fame for sure.
1, 2, 3. Well, he should make the Hall of Fame.
8-time All-Star, 3 times All-NBA.
Yeah.
Rookie of the Year, NBA champion. Like Kyrie's a pretty open and shut thing. I'm love looking at the nicknames, and Uncle Drew, definitely a Kyrie nickname. Never heard Ankle Taker, and I definitely haven't heard World B Flat.
I love that one. That's that was one of my favorites from a few years ago. So yeah, that's all right. So you have Kyrie as the number 1 overall pick, future Hall of Famer for sure. Second best player on a title team. Obviously has had plenty of ups and downs throughout his career, but a great player nonetheless. A ton of guys that just made all-star teams or all NBAs at the top of this draft. Like insane how much like depth of stars that this draft has. You have Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, Nikola Vucevic, all having made all-star teams. Also Isaiah Thomas, Klay Thompson making all-star teams. Tobias Harris with a higher career VORP than Klay Thompson. Interesting.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah.
He's just played a ton of games in minutes too, though. But I still think Klay's played a decent amount. Tobias has played 26,000 minutes in his career. Jesus Christ. The most of anyone in this class, I would bet. Yep. Tobias has played the most amount of him. It goes Tobias, Vooch, Jimmy, Kemba, Klay, Kyrie in terms of minutes played in their career.
That's pretty wild that Kemba is that high and he's like essentially
been out of the
league for like 2 years. Like, yeah.
And won't ever probably make it back, I would imagine.
No.
So, geez, this class is just fucking.
This really weird because like Isaiah, like Klay is like probably gonna make the Hall of Fame.
He will.
Yeah, like, and he's like 8th in VORP. Like, I'm leaning toward giving this great. Like Isaiah Thomas got MVP votes. Like he was like a star that burned really bright, but like was like had like a 2 to 3 year stretch of being like
made 2 All-Star games
relevant. Yeah. Like Vooch, and like Tobias are like kind of the solid all-stars, but like we also got to remember like Tobias was like really good when he was younger. Like
Tobias almost made the All-Star game like 2 or 3 times in his career.
Yeah, and he like I don't know, like the money, the page that when he got signed to that money, that like totally changed how everyone saw like Tobias. Like, he was like he was just like a good and starting level NBA player, like a borderline all-star guy. He was kind of like Aaron Gordon almost, the way Aaron Gordon's like thought about like now, but not like a 1-to-1. I'm just talking about in terms of reputation. I'm leaning B for this one.
No, I would say this is very clearly an A or possibly an S.
Oh, you think S?
Mm-hmm.
I say A.
The depth of stars in this draft. Okay, so you have Kawhi Leonard, who's one of, despite injuries, still one of the 30 best players of all time. Yeah. You have Jimmy Butler, who is now one of the 100 best players of all time. Yeah. You have 5 or 6 guys other than those guys who made all-star teams, at least one, multiple other Hall of Famers in Kyrie and Klay. You have, honestly, the depth of this class is insane too. Like,
there's a lot of like rotation guys. Like Iman Shumpert is 25th in VORP.
Dude, Tristan Thompson is 22nd.
Yeah.
Like Tristan Thompson, Markieff Morris, Davis Bertans, Alec Burks, Bojan Bogdanovic. Like there's a lot of, but then there are also guys who were just like flash in the pan, got a lot of rebounds guys like Enes Kanter and Kenneth Faried, who still did have good NBA careers based on, whatever, but like certainly were a little bit overrated by these kind of metrics. But like the depth of this class, this has 20 to 25 rotation players in it, and multiple Hall of Famers at the top, multiple All-Stars below that, and some guys who, were at least in the conversation at one point in their career for the All-Star game. Like, I think this is an S-tier class, dude.
Okay, we can put it there. I would say A, but
okay,
we'll see the difference. We'll see. Say A. We'll say S.
Yeah, I think 2011. You'll never find a draft that is this deep with guys who made All-Star teams. There are 7 guys in this draft that made the All-Star team. Even if you think the Vucevic one is Mickey, everyone else made a legitimate All-Star team at one point, and they're, like I said, like 6-7 guys. Like Kemba was a legit All-Star. Isaiah Thomas for at least 1 or 2 seasons was a legit All-Star. I think Vooch was a little bit of a beneficiary of no good bigs for a little bit, but still, this is I fight for this class. I think this class is insanely good.
Okay.
But yeah, so all right, let's move on to 2012.
I hear you. I see you. You're valid.
All right, the 2012 NBA draft, which number 1 overall pick Anthony Davis, who is second in VORP in this draft. You have also in this draft, you had Damian Lillard and Draymond Green and Bradley Beal. Those are, and Chris Middleton. Those are like the top guys in this draft. So you have 5 very, Dame, AD, and Draymond, clear Hall of Famers. Bradley Beal and Chris Middleton, multiple time All-Stars. You also had some good role players in this draft, like, Andre Drummond, who did make All-Star teams, but I would consider him more of a should be a role player.
This is fucking brutal. 14th in VORP in this draft is Mo Harkless. That's tough, man.
Honestly, you say Mo Harkless. 15th is Terrence Jones. At least Mo Harkless was in the NBA like 2 years ago.
God, how does Mike Scott not have a higher VORP than a lot of these other guys?
Metrics hated Mike Scott.
Oh, really? Is that why? Okay.
Yeah, they always hated him.
Yeah, also Tyler Zeller. That's crazy. Tyler Zeller Tyler Zeller was like a good center for like 5 years. Like, why is he so low? Anyway, Arnett Moultrie. God, these are some names I haven't heard in a fucking minute.
Sixers legend Arnett Moultrie, dude. We took him in the first round. That was like our only, other than Evan Turner, obviously, with the second pick in 2010. Yeah. Arnett Moultrie was like our only miss, but we got Mo Harkless in this draft, who we traded later for Andrew Bynum. The very terrible. Your boy Jared Sullinger.
Yeah, I love Jared Sullinger. Great player. We got Evan Fournier in here. Satoransky.
This is real name, some guys' territory.
Justin Hamilton. I remember him on the Nets. Will remember this. Will, do you remember Justin Hamilton? I remember it because my friend who's a Nets season ticket holder was like really into Hamilton and was saying like his own like shitty Hamilton spinoffs, and I wanted to like jump out a window. He was like, Justin Hamilton. And I was like, shut up right now. One of the worst things ever. Yeah.
This is brutal, dude.
This is a C. This is a C tier draft, by the way.
Okay, so let's see. Damian Lillard at the top, Anthony Davis, and Draymond Green. So that's
3 Hall of Famers.
3 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So I think on having the back of 3 Hall of Famers, and then you have 3 guys just below that made All-Star teams, the depth of this draft class is shit.
Yes, it's really bad.
But the top of this draft class is fine.
I guess that's true. Maybe a B tier?
I'd say B tier. I think B tier for this one. Yeah. Okay. I think that
I wasn't thinking about the 3. Those 3 guys are all like no doubt Hall of Famers. So
yes. So we'll put that in the B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, look, they don't have best player on championship team, which the last draft had Kawhi, and in another world, I think we could not even Jimmy's been the best player on 2 finals teams. So like, we don't even have to imagine that much. Kyrie was the second best player on a championship team. This draft was more Draymond, who's the second best player on a team that won a ton of titles. AD, who probably could have been if he were a number 2. And honestly, it's funny looking back at this because like obviously injuries play a factor here, but I feel like considering the pre-draft hype, how good he was in college and how good we expected Anthony Davis to be in his first few years in the NBA, I think there's an argument, despite the fact that he's had an amazing career and is one of the best players, I don't think he should have made 75, but top 100 players of all time. And he was the second best player on a championship team. Like, is such a great player when healthy. He still arguably had a kind of a disappointing career.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis. Like we thought Anthony Davis was going to be what Jokic is basically. Like
I thought he was my favorite prospect since LeBron at that time.
Yeah.
And then I only broke that out like with Zion and Luka after that. Were like the only other guys I thought were like as good as Anthony Davis coming out. So,
yeah, he was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a two-way force in college. They won the fucking national championship with him as a freshman. He was just like, and like I said, the first few years, at one point, Bill had him number 1 on his trade value column list in 2015. Like, he was thought to be that guy. And like, as amazing as his career was, probably peaking as like a top 7 or 8 player in the NBA, he just never was that guy. Never was the guy that we all kind of anticipated him to be. But this is a good draft, you know, like
it's like average, I would say. Right?
Yeah.
It's like pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's a B. It's a solidly a B. There's some good role players, not a lot of great role players. There's some all-stars, some Hall of Famers. And then the undrafted class here was just Kent Bazemore and JaMychal Green, so that doesn't lift it up at all.
And then we go from that draft class to the next draft class.
Well, we're going to talk about 2013 because 2013, at the time when we did the Resloppables, we talked about this. 2013 was thought to be kind of just a dog shit draft class. Like, everyone thought it was fucking terrible at the time. Mm-hmm. It actually it definitely turned out better than we had anticipated. Because at the time of this draft, like, there was no chance that anyone thought there was going to be an all-timer in this draft. And Giannis was in this draft. Like, that itself makes it so that it's probably not the lowest tier just because you have Giannis at the top. Like, any draft that has a top 25 all-time player that can't be that low.
This makes the Giannis thing so much worse, though, because it's like, what were you doing? Everyone was bad anyway. Why were you not swinging on the crazy project?
I know. The Sixers, the Thunder. The Sixers had 2 picks in the top, in the lottery, in the top 10, and they didn't take either time. They didn't take Giannis. The Thunder passed on him. There were so many teams that, like, if this draft were held today, they would have taken Giannis. He would have went top 10.
Can I read you the 26 to 30th guys in VORP in this draft?
Yes.
26, Alex Abrinas. 27, Shabazz Muhammad.
Oof.
28, Carrick Felix, who I don't even remember. 29, Tony Mitchell. I haven't heard that name in many moons. And then 30, Tony Snell. The god, Tony Snell.
It's really bad.
That's tough, man. Like Reggie Bullock is 16th. Mike Muscala is 13th in VORP in this draft.
It's
rough.
It's a bad draft. I will say this one thing. This is actually a pretty good undrafted class.
Okay.
Robert Covington, Seth Curry, Dwayne Dedman, and then it gets bad after that. It's Matthew Dellavedova, Troy Daniels, Rodney Magruder, and Daniel Tice, who had a few years where he was a guy. But Robert Covington, Seth Curry, that at least if Robert Covington and Seth Curry were included in here, where would they be in like these metrics? Robert Covington would certainly be in the top 15. I mean, he was a steals and blocks monster. So I'm assuming that let's look up, because I got to look up Covington's Warp here. we're warping so hard right now.
With some Vorping
This is gross.
Yeah, Vorp is great. You can tell because it has Jeff Withey as the 21st guy in this draft.
That's a person you just made up. So
no, I remember Jeff Withey. I remember him playing for the Pelicans.
All right, so Robert Covington's Vorp is 10.5, which would put him at right behind Kelly Olynyk ahead of Nerlens Noel at number 9 in this class.
Jeez.
But it does have Giannis at the top.
That's the thing, is it has Giannis at the top. So it's either C or D.
Okay, so it has Giannis at the top, Rudy Gobert, CJ McCollum, and then...
Yeah, but CJ is like... Oof.
CJ's what?
CJ's like kind of like a fake all-star, though. Has CJ ever even made an all-star team?
He has not. There's only 2 guys that have made all-star teams, and 3 guys who have made all-star teams in this whole draft, because Victor Oladipo made it twice.
Oh, that's right. And well, yeah, Victor actually made all NBA teams.
And he made it once to all NBA. Yeah. But if he doesn't get hurt, Victor Oladipo is probably the 3rd best player in this class.
Probably, yeah.
And then, but like,
also like Rudy, like a lot of Rudy's accolades are like just fucking the center position. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Rudy's gonna make the Hall of Fame though.
I know, it's brutal.
He won 3 Defensive Players of the Year. He's not gonna not
because the calculator rats. We let the calculator rat. We walked away from the controls. Let the calculator rats have them for a little bit. The Patriots had to come back and be in charge and install Marcus Smart as the rightful Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean, Rudy Gobert his teams were insanely good when he was on the court defensively in the regular season. Yeah. And, multiple Defensive Player of the Year. So you have 2 Hall of Famers in this draft. You have Giannis and Rudy. Yeah. And then you have a massive drop-off to Victor Oladipo, CJ McCollum, Steven Adams. Mason Plumlee is 4th in Vorp in this draft. Yeah, this draft sucks, dude. Honestly, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is probably like the 5th or 6th best player in this draft.
Yeah.
And I like KCP a lot. I mean, he's kind of in that Danny Green mold of role player. But Giannis is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this draft class. If we're going, and honestly, Gobert is too. If we're going like for top, because it gets ugly quick after that. Then it just becomes a bunch of kind of like good role players, and then a bunch of nameless, kind of like whatever replacement level rotation guys who, the Andre Robersons, the Trey Burks, the James Ennis's. It's not deep. It's not particularly good. I'm going to go C for this class.
Okay.
Giannis.
We might want to go back and move that down at some point, but we'll see where everything else shakes out.
If you have one of the best players of all time in your draft, I guess on average, like if we look at all these drafts, how many of them have an all-time great? And like Giannis will probably end up as one of the 10 or 15 best of all time.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And if that is the case, how many of these other drafts have guys that are 10 to 15? I think it's literally just 2009.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you, Giannis.
I don't even remember what the image I used for this draft was. I might have just used Giannis because I did, because I'm not using Anthony Bennett as he's the number 1 overall pick. That's a fucking gross ass number 1 overall pick to include as the picture. So and honestly, I think this class, Seth Curry and Robert Covington give it a slight little bump for me too. Those are 2 really good undrafted players. All right, let's go 2014. We're on to the 2014 draft now. I mean, this draft has Jokic and Embiid at the top already.
Yeah, it's not as good as I would have thought. I thought this was going to be like an S. I was going to be making the case for S tier for this draft, but going down this list, I don't know.
2 MVPs.
2 MVPs. That's huge. That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, we got 2 MVPs here. This is going to be great. However, you kind of make the case that like Zach LaVine's the 3rd best player in this draft.
It's like Zach LaVine, Marcus Smart, Clint Capella, Aaron Gordon.
Like Julius Randle is going to end up having a lot of like all NBA, all-star like cachet. Jeremy Grant kind of climbing here too.
Definitely. I would say Jeremy Grant has definitely turned around his career based on kind of who's very raw coming in the league. Took him a few years to kind of figure it out. This has got a decent amount of depth, though. Like, I mean,
it does. Yeah.
It's like some of these guys once again broke out a little bit later.
Andrew Wiggins is 18th.
Yeah, because Wiggins got massacred by those years in Minnesota where he was just overtasked and like analytics hated him. But by the end of his career, like we're gonna look back not as number 1 overall pick, but he's the fourth or fifth best player in this draft. Like it's him, Aaron Gordon, Jeremy Grant, like those kind of guys. And Wiggins was arguably the second or third best player on a championship team not that long ago. Now, he's one of the weaker second or third guys on a championship team, undeniably. Yeah. This is a good draft, though. Like, this is a really, really good draft.
Jordan
2 MVPs.
Clarkson, Dwight Powell, Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, these are all guys who, like, are starter or at least spot starters for like a lot of teams, like
this crazy second round in this draft. Mm-hmm. You had Jokic, Dinwiddie, Jeremy Grant, Joe Harris, a really strong end of the first, I believe, too. You had Bogdanovich, like Kyle Anderson. This is a really deep draft. A lot of all-star guys: Julius Randle, Zach LaVine, Marcus Smart won the Defensive Player of the Year. Made multiple all-defensive teams. Clint Capella is still one of the more underrated role players of the last decade.
Yeah, like he's technically third in VORP in this class. Because he's been all those like hyper efficient years. Slow-mo. Did we talk about Slow-mo being 6?
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of really good guys. This is an A, I think.
You could argue it's an S.
You could argue it's an S.
I'm gonna put it in A for now.
Yeah.
But I think we could go back on this.
How many all-star guys have made all-star teams in this draft? Just 2? No, LaVine and Randall. No.
And Wiggins.
Oh, yeah, but like that's a voter. That's a voter all-star. I don't know if that should count. That was like a stunt, you know what I'm saying? Like I think Aaron Gordon is more of an all-star than Wiggins is. Or Jeremy Grant is probably. Did Jeremy Grant ever make an all-star team or no?
No, he didn't. But he was in the conversation at one point. Yeah. Gordon was in the conversation this year.
Yeah. And I think there was like a year when he was in the conversation and like his best Magic year too.
Okay.
So it's like what, 3 guys? Zach,
right,
4?
Hold on. Let's talk. Hold on. We need to talk about the S tier and what the qualifications are here.
Okay.
Because Kevin is having a fucking fit in the comments over this.
Okay.
We have the S tier had 3 and had 2 guys who won MVPs in the 2009 draft and 3 guys who got votes for MVP if you include Blake Griffin.
Kevin just logged on to protect Zach LaVine's draft class. This was his task, is coming here and protect Zach LaVine is third.
He's the LaVine defender. Yeah. 2011 has 2 guys that didn't win MVPs in Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler, but we would say are MVP, like in a right season could probably win. If Jimmy Butler gave more of a shit about the regular season, he's probably gotten MVP votes at a certain point. And Kawhi came in second or third in different years.
Both guys could definitely win finals MVP, which is, something, like is a thing. So, yeah.
But we put the S tier for that draft based on the strength of the guys like that were all-star level, right? Like there were like 7 or 8 guys that were all-star level. But the thing is that like, would you rather have Nikola Vucevic or Aaron Gordon and Aaron Wiggins and Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah.
And like, that's where we're comparing here. But then again, like that draft had Kemba, Kyrie, like the 3rd best player in that draft was Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And like Kyrie's made like 7 or 8. But yeah. It's like, but the thing is that you have 2 guys. All right. So Kevin's argument is 2 MVPs by itself is A tier. Then you have to give it the S tier for depth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
9 playoff appearances for Marcus Smart.
Yeah, that's true. No,
has he ever missed the playoffs?
No. Every year the Celtics have made the playoffs since they drafted Marcus Smart. He's never missed the playoffs.
Well, You broke that this next year too. Not going to be on the team. And you're not going to make the
Grizzlies
playoffs.
win the title. When the Grizzlies win the title.
Okay, so
anyway, let's put him in the S tier for now and come back to it if we come to another.
Yes.
This is 15 years of draft classes, right? We should have about 3, right? We should have about 3 per year. So let's see. Yes. Let's see how.
Okay, we're gonna leave it in the S tier for now. We're gonna come back and we're gonna compare it to the rest of the classes.
Yeah.
There's one class we know is going in the S tier. Might even need to have its own tier.
Okay.
Might need to change that. All right, 2015. This draft class is piss. Okay, to be fair to this draft class though, the perception first off, looking at this is so funny when you put it Vorp shit on because Montrezl Harrell is 4th.
Yeah. And like breathing down Kristaps Porzingis' neck. Like
okay.
How is this how bad was Vorp dinging Booker? Because he's like 1/10 of a percentage point ahead of Porzingis and Vorp.
Okay, so
that's awful.
Analytics hated Devin Booker for like 3 years.
That's crazy, man.
And it was kind of like he was better than the young Andrew Wiggins, but it was kind of like the thing where he had to fight against the analytic. Like his last 2 or 3 seasons has dragged him up like 12 spots on this. He was not even close based on Vorp early in his career.
Yeah. This is bad news for Vorp as a catch. I mean, all catch-alls are bad, but like
sure.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
I just use Vorp because it's the only metric that, first off, it's easily available on Basketball Reference, but it's the only metric that takes games played and minutes played into consideration too. Like of the major, like if I do BPM, then there are going to be guys who played like 20 career games at the top because that were like
Montrezl goes to 2.
Yeah, exactly.
DeLon Wright is 3 if you sort by BPM. So let's go. As opposed to 5th in Vorp. I didn't even realize DeLon Wright. How is he ahead of Miles Turner? God damn, dude. This is tough. This is tough because there's a lot of like really weird guys high on the list, but you go lower and there are guys who are like normal. Like there's like,
very good role players.
Yeah.
Tyus
Jones, Larry Nance, like even Josh Richardson, like for like 8 years there was like a really good like starter level guy.
Sure.
So
D'Angelo Russell made an all-star team at one point in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, Miles Turner's one of the best role players. Like Miles Turner's the 4th best player in this draft. And he is, I don't know. This draft is so the number 1 overall pick was Karl Anthony Towns, who has had a fine career. He's the 2nd best player in this draft to Devin Booker. And he's had a fine career. If he didn't go number 1, you would feel a lot better about his career.
3, by the way, 3 total All-NBA teams in this draft class.
2 from Devin Booker, 1 from 2 from Devin Booker, 1 from Karl Anthony Towns.
Opposite. 2 from Towns. Booker's only made it once, which is crazy.
Booker's only made because of games played this past year, I think.
Yeah.
And he made first team All NBA when he made it, if I remember correctly.
He did.
What are the odds? This guy has 1 All NBA in his career.
He's the Los Angeles Lakers bubble season of players.
Oh, shut the fuck up. We're gonna have to edit this part out. Jesus Christ.
The Super's yelling at me.
Enough of this.
I think this is D tier. They don't get much worse.
This is a bad draft.
Yeah.
This is a really bad draft.
This is a really bad draft.
It at least has the depth of like role players to make it not like if we had an F tier, you could probably still put it in D. But like I guess the argument here is what's the difference between 2013 and 2015? And I guess the only answer is Giannis. Because this has more depth and better role players than 2013. But it also
Giannis is like a generational.
Giannis is one of the best players of all time, and like Devin Booker's amazing, but like he's not going to reach. We did just see he was so good in the playoffs, but like. I think we could say
Giannis has more than double this entire draft class's number of All NBA.
Yeah, it's insane.
So
it's insane. Yeah. All right, the undrafted. Oh, I forgot the undrafted players from last draft that I need to bring up now. 2014 had Langston Galloway, Tyler Johnson, Tim Frazier, Torrey Craig,
Tim Frazier. Oh my God.
Kem Birch, and Maxi Kleber. So yeah, okay. This draft class was one of the ones that had a very strong undrafted class.
Okay.
TJ McConnell, Christian Wood, Royce O'Neal, Javonte Green, and then it kind of drops off, but it has like some guys at least. Quinn Cook, Alfonso McKinney, Juan Toscano Anderson. But surprisingly, 2015 had some deeper in terms of just like rotation players undrafted. Not quite as insane as 2016, which we're going to get to now. So let's move on to 2016, which is one of the weirder drafts. We've talked about it before, where every guy at the top of this draft is like, oh, he's pretty good. But there's no one like you don't even have in this draft class. You don't even have like a Devin Booker or a Paul George to be like, hey, this draft has that guy at least.
This is draft... very disrespectful to Ivica Zubac. How dare you?
This is George Niang slander. I apologize.
Yeah, come on, man.
But it has a bunch of guys who made all-star teams is what I'm trying to get at here.
Has a couple. Pascal has made an all-NBA team. Sabonis just made an all-NBA team.
Ben Simmons
made an all-NBA team. Jaylen Brown has made an all-NBA team.
Has Brandon Ingram ever? No, he hasn't. He's made the all-star team.
Yeah. He's made the all-star. He was also most improved player. This is like the exact opposite of the Giannis draft, where like there's what did we just say?
There's like, and if you include Jamal Murray, there's like 7 all-stars.
Yeah, 7 all-stars, 4 guys who have made all-NBA, but just like all of these guys have made all-NBA by the skin of their teeth. Like, do we really think Sabonis is an all-NBA player? Like, is he really one of the 15 best players in the NBA? No. Is Jaylen Brown one of the 15 best players in the NBA? No. Is Ben Simmons an NBA player? No. So, like, this is like, it's really just Siakam is the only guy who's like, he's probably the most consistent guy on here, and he always is like either complete dog shit or making like, or being like one of the 10 best players in the NBA. That's like his thing.
He's diet Giannis. And and the margin for Giannis going from, wow, this is the most dominant player in the NBA to, wow, this guy looks like dog shit can be very thin.
Yes, extremely thin.
Yeah.
But then you also have guys, you've also got like Malcolm Brogdon and DeJounte Murray. You've got like Zubac and Pirtle, who are like high-level starters. And then you've got all these like 6-man type guys like Karis LeVert and like Malik Beasley. So you've got like a pretty solid like top 12 to 13. It's just after that, it really starts fucking dropping off. After like George Niang, you've got like Damian Jones at 15, Chris Dunn at 16, Cheikh Diallo 17, Denzel Valentine 18.
Hold on. None of this matters because wait until you hear this undrafted class. Okay, ready?
Okay, let's go.
Fred VanVleet, Gary Payton II, Dorian Finney-Smith, Daniel House, Derek Jones, Alex Caruso, Damian Lee, David Nwaba, and Bryn Forbes.
VanVleet also adding another all-star to this.
Adding another guy who made an all-star team, adding Gary Payton II and Dorian Finney-Smith, who have been role players on very good teams. Adding Alex Caruso, who is probably good. If he hasn't made an all-defensive team, will probably make one at some point in his career.
Yeah.
That's an insane undrafted class.
This is so hard because I like. What was that? What's this B class? What do we put in the B class? Which year was that we just put in there?
The year that we put in the B class was the 2012 draft, which had 3 Hall of Famers at the top. Okay, how many of these guys make the Hall of Fame? Because I would say none.
None. Yeah, none.
Unless the Nuggets go on a run.
Yeah.
Unless the Nuggets go on a run and win like 4 of the next 6 titles and Jamal Murray's the second best player.
He'd have to have like a Clay style, like being the second banana on like a iconic team like Clay, something like that. So
third banana, but yes.
Michael Porter Jr. or is this Michael?
No, I'm saying Clay.
Oh, you're saying Clay was okay. Yeah.
Respect, Draymond.
Respect.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, this is a tough one.
This is tough. Like, because
there's no Hall of Famers in this draft, but a ton of really good players.
Good players, yeah. Let's say A tier for now. I think A. There's so many good players in this.
There are no Hall of Famers.
There's no Hall of Famers, but there's so many All-Stars. This might be the
I was going to say C. Why don't we split the difference and put it in B for now?
All right, let's put it in B for now. It's not C tier. No way.
I'm kind of shocked that the amount of good players in this draft is kind of crazy. Like, there are 10 guys that were in the All-Star conversation at one point in their career.
Like even not even putting the All-Star thing aside, the fact of 4 guys who have made All-NBA at some point, even if like 3 of them are Mickey Mouse, is pretty. That's pretty like. That's like pretty crazy. Like on top of all the All-Star stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like,
there's 4 guys who have made All-NBA. You said?
Yeah. Simmons, Brown, Sabonis, and Pascal.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, okay. Let's put it in B tier for now.
Put it in B tier, yeah.
Basketball Chess agrees with you in the comments. He says it's got to be an A. But
yeah, we'll see. Let's see. We'll mix it up. We'll leave
the undrafted class took it. The undrafted class in this class took it from a C tier to a B tier for me.
God, this next one's really weird too.
All right. So, okay. This class, and Sam, much to Sam's chagrin, this class instantly already has a Hall of Famer, though. Jason Tatum will make the Hall of Fame.
De'Aaron Fox? I don't know. He's gonna. I don't know about that. That's a little early. I guess Bam. Oh, you mean Bam? Yeah, Bam. Yeah. Bam has a shot to if he anchors these Heat teams for
definitely not Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell.
No, not those. Donovan Mitchell's got a case. Jason Tatum's in all the dropping kayfabe here. Tatum's really good. I don't know if Tatum, if he were on a different team, I think he would have a career more like Devin Booker, than what he's had to this point. He just came into a Celtics team.
Perfect situation.
I don't know, I still don't really know how much. I've got to see. I have a theory. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I have a theory that Jason Tatum's just kind of like a top 10 but not top 5 guy in the league who's good.
All right, let's talk about
shout out to Basketball Chess, who says he's currently at a girl's house ignoring her to tune in live.
Let's go.
Brother, I love you and care about you. You could listen to this later, please. It's very rare that anyone who pays for this basketball podcast talks to a woman, let alone be invited to their house. You have no idea. I need you to.
Sam is speaking from experience, folks.
Yes, I've never been invited to a woman's house. I'm like a vampire. I can't cross the threshold.
And not like a hot one like Robert Pattinson.
No, I'm like a Nosferatu, or one of the scarier ones. All right, Basketball Chess. I tried to advise you. I really do appreciate that you are such a ride or die, but I want better for you, King.
Let's go. Hey, look, if you pay for the Patreon, you can also hang out and listen to us at a girl's house.
You can ignore a woman to listen to this stupid bullshit. If you
this names some guys bullshit.
I am having a great time, but
I love it. I
love it.
The 2017 NBA draft class. Let's get back to
Let's
it.
Go.
All right. So we have Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox, Jared Allen, Derek White, Lauri Markkanen. I mean, right there, let's remove Derek White from there, add Jared Allen. That's 6 All-Stars. And then you get to the elite role player section. You have Derek White, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Kyle Kuzma's a little bit further down.
Where's the 6th All-Star? Oh, Lauri Markkanen. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay.
Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, Jared Allen, De'Aaron Fox, and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, and
Lonzo Ball would have had a great career.
Yeah, Lonzo
would have had a great career as a high-level role player.
Yeah, he would have been like worst case Marcus Smart, like best case like Drew Holiday. Like, it's a bummer.
Yeah, total bummer, but it's not his fault. He still had he really only had 2 good years in the NBA, unfortunately.
Fuck. OG Anunoby's in this class S tier. Let's fucking go. The future MVP.
Look, if we're gonna put 2011 first tier because of Kawhi Leonard,
yeah,
I think you gotta put also a wing who won a championship with the Toronto Raptors. If you think about it like that,
that's true. You know what? Though? This one goes pretty deep though. Like 19th is Malik Monk, and a lot of the guys above him, like there's not a lot of slouches above that. Like,
no, you got Isaiah Hartenstein, Kyle Kuzma, Jonathan Isaac, our guy, Markelle Fultz.
Mm-hmm.
It falls off very hard after Malik Monk, but let's see who was the undrafted for this class. Hold on one second.
Also, Dylan Brooks is 56th just because he's got like that horrible plus minus on off. Also, the GOAT Semi Ojeleye from this class.
2017's undrafted class is pretty nasty. Chris Boucher, Luke Cornett, and PJ Dozier.
Oof.
Yeah, real bad.
Oh, when you said nasty, I thought you meant like good nasty, and I was like waiting, and I was like, PJ,
no, very bad.
Yeah,
PJ Dozier.
What?
What?
Let's not disrespect Luke Cornett though.
Yeah.
He should be an NBA champion right now.
Yeah. The only reason that Luke Cornett doesn't get more respect is because of the way that he looks.
How do I not remember Jaren Blossom Game? What an excellent name.
It honestly sounds like a name that could be a sequel to like Blossom Game.
Blossom Game. Yeah. Jaren Blossom Game. That is a Court of Rose and Thorns. That's like a young A. Like
I was gonna say that could be like a Game of Thrones name.
Yeah, it's like a young adult. Like there's like a girl who's like, I'm just so skinny and ugly, and then this guy Jaren Blossom Game shows up and whisks her away to his castle. He's 8 million years old. He loves only her.
What's up with your vampire obsession today?
It's not a vampire.
8 million years old?
No, Court of Roses and Thorns. It's a fairy, not a vampire in that one. So
apologies, I don't know that. What that means.
You're not up on your young A. You clearly haven't.
I'm not. I haven't been grinding
the past 5 years.
No, I have not been.
You have to pretend you like these books.
My girlfriend does read a lot of that kind of stuff, but I have not heard anything of that nature.
Ask her where Jaren Blossom Game.
It's a great name.
It's an excellent
name my child that.
Yep. Was also got Nigel Williams Goss. What is up with these awesome second round names I missed in this draft?
A little bit lower, who had a tough start to his career but is bouncing back now. Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah.
Forgot about
I was a huge Dennis Smith Jr. guy coming out. I thought he was like the third best player in this draft. Really bad take from me.
I was gonna say it explains why you love Scoot so much. I like Scoot a lot, and I think he's he's going to be a good prospect. But in the same
Scoot can like actually shoot. Like I just watched. Derek, I'll admit, I just watched him play that one Duke game when he like blew the doors off it, and I was like, Dennis Smith Jr. is the best player I've ever seen.
He was so athletic.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, I remember watching that. He played for NC State, I think. He played against Duke and just like showed out. Like it was like one of the most impressive college games I've ever seen, and I was like, this guy is so good.
So we have to decide 2017. I think A tier.
What we're like, it's so funny. You and I are like usually like lockstep with this.
We're
stuff.
Complete opposite.
We're complete. I think it's C tier. I think it's pretty whack, to be honest.
All right. So Jason Tatum is a Hall of Famer. Donovan Mitchell has made 4 All-Star games, 5. Bam Adebayo will probably make All-Star game every other year. If not, just continually make it now.
He'll make like all defensive teams.
De'Aaron Fox is really coming into his own now. I think Lauri Markkanen's All-Star game was a little bit Mickey, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you could also make the same argument for Jared Allen, but they're still really good players.
Yep.
All right, let's go B tier then.
All right, we'll go B tier. Yeah.
We'll split the difference again.
Yeah.
You just hate Jason Tatum. Now, to be fair, if we gave 2012 with 3 Hall of Famers at the top, I know it had shit depth, But if we gave 2012 with 3 Hall of Famers at the top B tier, I feel like we got to do the same here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a deep-ish draft class, and like Jason Tatum's like very good, but like I don't know. Like these guys don't move me. Like the 2016 guys, all of those 2016 guys are better that we were just mentioning are better than like Bam and Jared Allen, and
Sure.
yeah, like so. I don't know that there's a huge difference there. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on. Which 2016 guys are better than Bam and Jared Allen?
Like I would say Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons when he was playing, but Brandon Ingram, Pascal. I would take all of them.
I think Bam's in like the same tier as most of those guys.
Well, even
definitely better than Ben Simmons.
Yeah. Well, even leave Bam aside. Jared Allen, De'Aaron Fox, definitely Derek White and John Collins, who are 6 and 7. Like there's a pretty hard drop off there.
There's a chance 3 guys from this class make the Hall of Fame though.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know if Bam's going to make it. I don't think he's quite good enough. But if the Heat trade for Damian Lillard and win the title next year, and then Bam makes like 7 All-Star games in his career, 6 All-Star games.
Bam, Kevin is pushing back saying Jalen's not better than Bam. Bam definitely helps winning more. Jalen is a better basketball player than Bam Adebayo.
Also, Kev, Laurie's All-Star was very Mickey. There's just so much cope from Bulls fans about former Bulls. It's okay.
Wait till we get to Daniel Gafford.
No, he's right though. It was Mickey. He was agreeing with me. It's just funny. I had to point that out.
This is just us antagonizing poor Kevin, who's coming in here to support us. And, yeah, fuck you, asshole. It's just being mean to him.
Okay,
get out of here.
I'm not talking about Jaylen Brown anymore in this podcast. So let's move on to 2018, which is an immediate S tier. Immediately. Okay. We might need to make another tier for how good this draft class is. This draft class is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
This draft class is...
Yeah.
This draft class is Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Trae Young, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., Michael Porter Jr., this is just such an insane class. And like guys like, I mean, the depth of this class is fucking nuts too, dude. Like
Landry Shamet is the 25th player. And normally when we get to 25, it's like guys who like
never play in the NBA.
Never play in the NBA.
Gary Trent Jr. is 19. Bruce Brown is 20.
Shake Milton is 30.
This is an insane draft class.
Yeah, this is like a slam dunk. And you've also got Luka, like will no doubt be a Hall of Famer, and like barring something. I really think Shai could get there too. I'm like less sure about Trae. So there's like a chance for like 2 Hall of Famers in this draft class. I think on average.
I think Shai's going to make the Hall of Fame.
I think so too. I give him a better chance than Trae Young for sure.
I think that Shai will make the Hall of Fame. I think that he's going to get MVP votes, if not win an MVP at some point in his career. I think Luka will for sure make the Hall of Fame, obviously. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is still only, 23?
That's
24?
True.
Like, he's going to win multiple Defensive Players of the Year.
Yeah, that's true. That's
like,
true.
If Rudy Gobert made it, then Jaren Jackson Jr. will probably make it. Like, that's just kind of what happens when you win multiple Defensive Players of the Year. And that team is still really young and has a window. Like this draft is just nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
Bruce Brown, Devontae Graham is higher than he should be, but you've also got like Dante DiVincenzo, Michael Porter Jr., who I don't think we even mentioned.
Anthony Simons is 26 in VORP in this class.
That's I didn't even think he was in here. That's crazy. Like Bruce Brown, like, oh man, dude, this is like S tier. This is like locked in S tier. I think we should we might have to bump out whatever one we were arguing about earlier. I can't remember.
2014, but that has 2 MVPs and Hall of Famers. That's what we were saying.
Yeah, but it has dog shit depth. Yeah, like this one will probably have the same amount of MVPs. And
it's arguable. Yeah, I mean, but Luka will win an MVP at some point. It's just a matter of time.
I think Luka, I would set the line at how many MVPs Luka wins at like 2.5.
I don't know about that, but it's hard to win more than 2 MVPs, dude. The only player in the NBA who's won more than 2 MVPs is LeBron James. I'm just saying that off the top of my head, but I'm just saying.
He's not good.
Right? Has there been anyone who's made more than 2 MVPs other than LeBron? No. Steph hasn't. Jokic hasn't. Giannis hasn't.
Yeah, but also, I mean, well, that's also like narrative. I mean, I guess that's your point, though, is that it's like narrative stuff, that gets in the way when you're,
Sure. But like, Sam coming on this podcast. And anyway, thank you for getting Joel Embiid the MVP, by the way.
That's
personally.
Right. Yeah, I personally did that.
So, God damn, this class is so good.
It's really good.
Let's just add a tier. I'm adding a tier. I'm adding a tier for this draft.
He's adding double S tier.
All right, let's see. Yep, that's what we're doing. Hold on.
This is like very Kevin O'Connor of us right now.
Yeah, I have to delete that.
We have our own rules, and then we just keep making everyone better. We have 4. We're gonna have half of the draft classes in S or double S tier.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have to argue: is there any tier in S of 2009, 2011, and 2014? Which one should be moved up to 2004 to SS? Are there any?
No.
I think 2011.
That's Kawhi and Jimmy and
Kawhi, Jimmy, and like 7 All-Stars or like 5 other All-Stars. Kyrie, Kemba.
What was the depth like in that draft class?
I think it was pretty deep.
I don't know.
All right, now we're gonna have 2018 in its own tier. We're gonna have 2018 in its own tier, but
Vooch.
I might be high on the recency bias right now.
Yeah, it's just there's so many injuries. Yeah, because it's like that's what we were talking about with this 2011 one. It's like depends on how you look at the injuries because you have guys who like burned really bright, like Isaiah Thomas, that and like Chandler Parsons.
But even Isaiah Thomas is like the 7th best or 6th best player in that draft, or 7th best.
Right. But guys ahead of him are like Kemba Walker and Nikola Vucevic. You know what I'm saying? Like I would.
You fade Kemba, but Kemba's like, I mean, Kemba
he was on my
All-Star
team
games than Bradley Beal.
I know. It's like because he played for my team and he was like very bad for us, and it's not his fault. Nick Nurse is a monster who will face criminal persecution. But I just can't. Kemba was so bad. Him being bad cost us the title the bubble year.
There are 4 Hall of Famers in that draft: Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson.
Yeah,
4.
I still think it's S tier.
How many of these other drafts have 4 Hall of Famers? I don't think there's any of them. I don't think any of these drafts have 4 Hall of Famers.
What was 2009 again? Blake, Steph, James Harden,
and then drop off DeMar and Drew. DeMar and Drew aren't making the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Danny Green's making the Hall of Fame. Big shot Bob style. title winner. Danny Green. I don't know.
Robert Horry also did not make the Hall of Fame.
Disrespectful. Wait, he won with the Lakers. Never mind. Fuck him. No.
He also won with the Raptors and the Spurs. The only team that he played real minutes for that he never won a title with was the Philadelphia 76ers.
Let's go.
Fuck!
Yes.
God damn it. To be fair, he got hurt in both playoff series, and then we lost immediately after.
Yeah.
Because he's that important. Danny Green is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on to 2019. We'll readdress at the end here. We'll readdress.
Throwing my body in front of this. Trill O'Connor here trying to just be positive about everyone.
All right.
He's not hating hard enough the way my horrible little
you troll.
My little troll. My troll instinct. Ooh, this one's yucky.
Yeah. This class is not great. 2019 is kind of gross.
Oh.
But hold on. I just want to put in context how insane it is that Zion Williamson has played 3,600 minutes in his career. To put it in comparison to a guy like Darius Garland, who was drafted the same year, he's played 8,400 minutes in his career. So he's played almost 3 times as many minutes as Zion Williamson. And Zion Williamson is still second in VORP in this class. Yeah, his BPM is... All right, let's see. If you rank it by BPM, he is has a 5.1 BPM for his career. Ja Morant is in second with a 2.8 BPM.
God, it's
insane.
Zion's gonna go to the Heat and like, it's gonna
God.
fucking happen. It's gonna fucking happen.
No, it can't be the Heat. It can't be the Heat because the Heat don't have. Some team's gonna trade for him at some point, and you need to have a lot of shit.
Yeah.
In what 5 years?
Yeah. Something. I don't know.
He'll still only be like 27 in 5 years. I say like he's going to be like 40. He's still young. Yeah. He's still 20. Didn't he just turn 22 or 23? Yeah.
Kevin's going to hate it when we get to the number 8 guy in this draft.
Okay. So this class it's tough because there are 3 very clearly great guys in this draft, 2 of which have serious off the court things with Ja Morant and Zion Williamson in different ways, I should say. But you have Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, but also I'm of the camp that I think that we overreact to weird off the court shit all the time. And Matt, I think that in 5 years from now, we'll probably look back and laugh at this whole Ja Morant thing and how much people kind of faded Ja and like his future because of whatever's happening.
Yeah. Marcus Smart will show him the way.
It's unbelievable how you can fit that propaganda anywhere. It's crazy.
Our Grizzlies. I love. I am so Grizzlies pilled this year. I'm a total 180 on our beautiful Grizzlies. Ja Morant has fixed everything. So obviously the third best player we're talking about is Brandon Clark.
I was going to say Tyler Hero, but yeah.
No. I can't believe he and Jordan Poole were in this draft class, which is very funny. But anyway, Darius Garland, in all seriousness, was the other guy you were
Darius Garland, third best player, who had a really and is also fighting the allegation similar to Devin Booker early in his career, where the analytics hated him his first 2 years because he was not very good. But
it has him as a negative BPM player. Like, that's crazy. Like,
but that's okay. To be fair, Darius Garland's rookie year, he was so bad. And like the fact that he's become as good as he is after that rookie year is like awesome. I'm happy for him. He's a great player, but like his rookie year was tough. Like, I mean, once again, he was 20 and but we see this a lot with guys that have really tough rookie years and then end up breaking out later. But like, he averaged 12 points a game, 3.9 assists, 2.6 turnovers on 40, 35, 87 splits. Like, not very good. But second year showed some improvement. Third year makes the All-Star team. This past year, he didn't make the All-Star team, but I think that it's safe to say, we've talked about it before, I think Darius Garland is one of the more underrated ceiling players in the NBA because he still is so young and started his career tough and then kind of, became an all-star by the time he was 22. That's very, very rare. And he'll probably make, especially once Donovan Mitchell's gone from Cleveland, he'll probably make 5 or 6 all-star games in his career. And these kind of high field players tend to have these arcs where they're really good in their late 20s. Now his size might hold him back a little bit, but it's like he's very clearly the third best player in this draft class right now. And there's a world where Ja and Zion's career could go sideways and he ends up being one of the better players, which kind of scares me a little bit if I'm ranking this draft class because the depth of it is dog shit. Like it gets ugly pretty quick.
Yeah, let's just run through some of the other names. Like Cam Johnson's a good player, Brandon Clark's a good player. Nick Claxton is probably the 4th best player in this draft, I would say.
He is the 4th best player in this draft, yes.
And then you have like Matisse Thybulle, Daniel Gafford. You have like Tyler Hero, who's
Terrence Mann, PJ Washington.
Jordan Poole further down the line. Kevin Porter Jr., Grant Williams. And then you get into your Keldon Johnsons, and then you got like your Chuma Akikis and Goga, who I think is already out of the league. Am I correct about that?
He was on the Magic this past year, but I think he's gone. Yeah, I think he's done. Yeah,
there's some stuff. It's tough here. It's tough stuff here.
It's a bad draft.
You go to the bottom and you've got all these guys who are like bad but on good. Like you've got like DeAndre Hunter, RJ Barrett, Rui Hachimura, Cam Reddish, all of these guys who are bad. And then you have where the stats lie about 14th pick in this draft, Romeo Langford, who it says is bad, but is obviously a starter in the NBA. So
he actually doesn't even play on a team in the NBA currently, to be fair.
And he will be picked up. He is going to get scooped up.
He's the next
like RJ Hunter
guy. He's the next Heat guy. I can't believe
it into existence.
I can't believe you put that. I can't believe you got for anyone who missed it. On the last Patreon episode, Sam brought up RJ Hunter, who hasn't been named on an NBA podcast in like 5 years. And then within a day, he signed to the Charlotte Hornets, which I don't even know how you work that devil magic, to be honest.
Let's go. All our stuff. I really loved RJ Hunter. I was devastated when we cut him to keep James Young in the roster crunch.
No one cares about this, just to be clear.
Okay.
No one gives a shit.
I think this is a C tier draft. Zion has the upside, but I don't know. Is Ja going to be a Hall of Famer? Is Darius Garland going to be a Hall of Famer?
Ja, yes, I do think he probably makes the Hall of Fame if he has, based on the beginning of his career. If you had told me, if you had asked me this question 8 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, he'll probably make the Hall of Fame. You don't make, what has he made? 2 All-Star teams already? He's made an All-NBA team. You're not that good at that age. And not unless you think that it's very possible he could have that John Wall, Derrick Rose kind of career where the fall off is sharp and quick. You know what I mean? Where by the end of his 20s, when the athleticism wanes a little bit, he's just not the same guy, which is totally possible. But if I had to put my money on it, I would lean towards yes. And I think that this draft has 2 Hall of Famers, with Darius Garland having an outside shot of at some point turning his career into that. But still, that's hard to imagine.
That's pretty hard to imagine.
I like Darius Garland a lot, but that's
I don't even think he's going to make it. I don't even think he's going to be an All NBA guy.
Yeah,
Darius Garland.
You're probably right.
I like him, but
unless Evan Mobley turns into a fucking beast and he's the second guy in a championship team or something, that's the world where that is a possibility. But all right, well, let's compare it to 2015. 2015 had Devin Booker at the top, who is honestly a surer bet than either Ja or Zion.
Yeah.
And we put that class D tier.
Yeah. I think it's C tier, because I think the depth is a little better.
I don't think it is. I think 2015 has better depth. 2015 had a lot of good role players. So do we move 2015 up and put this at D?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
I just, the fact that Ja, maybe this looks stupid in 5 years, but how are we supposed to know what's going to happen with Zion?
Yeah. Zion, it's really Zion. I think Ja. Yeah, I was gonna say I think Ja is gonna have a shorter career because just the athleticism and the way he play. If his athleticism, if he slows down just a little bit, he becomes a much less effective player. And I feel like he's gonna have to do all his accolades damage in the next 5 years. You know what I'm saying? I think once he's over 30, I think his career will keep going, but I just don't think he's gonna amass this surefire. I think it'll be like Blake Griffin. You know what I'm saying?
He's 24.
Yeah.
So he's got 5 more years, and he's made 2 All-Star teams already. Yeah.
Yeah. Blake made 6. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a Blake style career for him. But Zion could be if Zion turns around, Zion could be the X factor because he could be he could have a Giannis career if he gets his head on straight. So
yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the 2020 draft, which was seen as a dog shit draft at the time. Everyone hated it. It's actually turned out to be a really good draft. You've got a lot of really young guys at the top of we're projecting more on this draft than we have had to on other drafts because we just have less information on where these players are going to go in
these
their
guys
career.
Are still on their rookie contracts.
Yeah, they're going into the last year of their rookie deals.
Yeah.
So we have at the top Tyrese Halliburton, LaMelo Ball, Desmond Bane, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickley. Yes, I read Emmanuel Quickley after Tyrese Maxey because Maxey's VORP is a little bit lower. And then, you get a little bit further down. You have a Kongwu, you have Devin Vassell, you have, some guys we talked about on the Star and Plain Sight draft. Our guy, Paul Reed, Isaiah Joe. The Sixers have three
Cole
guys.
Anthony?
Sixers drafted 3 guys that are in the top 17 in Vort. And they
Daryl
let one of
Morey,
them go for
baby.
nothing.
This was Morey's first draft, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was cooking.
He was cooking. Really good.
Patrick Williams is a little lower. I know that he hasn't lived up to expectations for being the 4th pick, but he's a starting level wing who is still, I think he's 22 now. I think he might even be 21. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Josh Green also pretty low, kind of maligned a little.
Yeah, he turns 22 in a few weeks, but yeah, I mean, because he had a tough start to his career, Josh Green, but he's kind of turned it around a little bit.
I love scrolling to the bottom because all the Vorps at the bottom are like guys who are like bad but play a lot of minutes, and it's like Okoro, James Wiseman, Aaron Nesmith, Poku,
yeah. And just above them is Precious Achua.
Yeah. Ooh.
Honestly, you know who's really hated by these numbers?
Who?
Jaden McDaniels is at 46.
That's crazy.
He's really good.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good. Yeah. No, he might honestly it's a little low on Beef Stew too, who's like not great, but like certainly
he's a rotation
better
player.
Yeah. Like he's better. This is going to be a little harder. We're not going to be able to sort by Vorp as much, I'm realizing, because it's a little more all over the place in these ones. But
let's talk about the guys we know are for sure stars, which are Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, and I think Ant has a shot to be one of these All NBA guys
he has a shot to be the Devin Booker type guy in this class, where he's a top 10 player largely based on his scoring, and I think he has a little, he's so fucking athletic.
Can I say something that's going to sound insane? I think that Anthony Edwards, I would bet on Anthony Edwards to make the Hall of Fame more than I would Ja Morant.
No, I don't think that's insane.
Yeah, I for some reason I know that like they play somewhat similarly, but what Ant does just seems less Mickey Mouse to me. I don't know. Like
Ant's a much better shooter.
Yeah. And just, I don't know. I really believe in Anthony Edwards like a lot. Like he's got like so much stuff. I mean, you and I are, you're even more than me. The Halliburton sicko. Like I don't even know if we need to go into that. He's just
I've seen Halliburton get some hate from people recently, and I think it's insane. I think Halliburton's so fucking good, dude.
He's crazy. He's so much better than I thought he was.
I also think LaMelo Ball's underrated. I think that people shit on LaMelo Ball way too. He was the second youngest All-Star ever, I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you look at what's crazy, and I'll save this for later, we talked about it. I don't think the Hornets are going to be as bad as people think next year. I know that, dude, they're like 6 games below 500 in LaMelo Ball's career when he plays. Like, when he's healthy, they win games. Like, it's just he was not healthy this past year, and they had a down year, and they chose to tank. But, like, LaMelo's a very good offensive player, like extremely good.
They're going to have Brandon Miller. They're going to have bad guy Miles Bridges, but that will probably help them win.
Mark Williams is good. They have a bunch of competency. It just depends on how good LaMelo Ball and those
Gordon Hayward's healthy. They if Gordon Hayward's healthy, they can be pretty good. So
they're probably just never going to have a good defense. Is the problem? It's just.
What's really funny to me is we're doing this, and it's going to turn out that everyone we were putting in the S tier should just be in the A tier. All
right, we'll see. We'll see.
Because we haven't put anyone in the A tier yet, and I don't think we're about to start now.
No, but
I think this is B tier.
I think this is B tier too. Yeah. I think this is, and the image is weird because Anthony Edwards was during the COVID draft, so he doesn't even have a photo with Adam Silver. But we have Anthony Edwards. All right, so there are 3, based on the first few years of their career, there are 3 potential Hall of Famers here. In Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and Tyrese Halliburton. If you make an all-star game by the time you're 22 and it's not completely Mickey Mouse, I think you have a shot at making the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Then you have guys that are a tier down. You have the Desmond Bane, Tyrese Maxey, Devin Vassell kind of tier of guys where at a certain point in their career, they might make, and Jaden McDaniels, they might make an all-star team or defensive teams or whatever. And that's a really strong class. I could see this draft having upside of if they have 2 Hall of Famers in like Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, moving it up to the A tier. But for now, I think B tier is solid. Way better than people anticipated. At the time of this draft, people thought this would be like a D tier class. Like, I don't think people thought this would have been that high, to be honest.
No, it's come into like a pretty good class. And it's got some upside. Like LaMelo, in 2 years, LaMelo could be like he could make like a leap. I'm trying to think of like he could make like a not even Victor Oladipo style leap. He could make like a little bit of he could make like a little bit. He's like not done. He's not what he is. Like he could take a leap into being like a legitimate Devin Booker. That's a better comp. Like he could have like a Devin Booker career.
The problem with LaMelo is that the flaws in his game don't really seem like things that he wants to get better at. Like, I do genuinely think that he could be a passable defensive player, but I just don't really think he gives a shit. And I also think that the shot selection is just something that by the time the guys are in 3rd, 4th season, they usually kind of figure that stuff out. But hold on. The easy pathway for him to get better is just not be a terrible finisher and just be a passable finisher, which usually guys get better as their career goes on with that shit, and give some effort on defense and hone in some of the shot selection stuff. And you're talking about a guy that, like, at a certain point, I thought he was going to be like a top 5 player. Dude, he was so good in his rookie year. His rookie year was one of the best rookie years we've ever seen from a 19-year-old. Like, probably top 10. And he is still only 21, turns 22 in a few weeks. Like, I think that the guy, like, if he can hone in some of that stuff and the Hornets get a little bit more competency, there's a pathway where he's a top 12 to 15 player in the NBA.
That's fair. Yeah.
So. All right, let's move on to the next one. 2021, which is a weird draft. We've talked about it. We did a redraft of this. I know what you're laughing at already, probably. How low Cade is on Vorp, I'm assuming.
He's pretty low. I was actually laughing at how low Davion Mitchell is after I took him in our last episode of the
hiding in plain sight
stars.
Yeah, he's not good.
Will let me have it in the DMs on that one.
Yeah, Davion Mitchell's not good.
It's a vibes-based pick. You guys wouldn't understand.
A vibes-based pick? He's 24.
It's vibes. You guys don't understand vibes.
It's unbelievable.
It's also got my other favorite, Jalen Suggs, who I think is going to turn it around.
To be fair, I would go as far to say as I don't care about anything related to Vorp in this class.
Yeah.
Because like, as much as we make fun of Cade and even like a guy like Jalen Green, who's a little bit further down than that, like he is really bad. Like if we had looked at this when, like I said, Darius Garland, if we had looked at this when Devin Booker was this age, they would be in the 30s. Yeah. Like they would be not good at all. And they've turned their careers around, and those guys at least have a shot to do that. There's already Cade propaganda coming out from the Team USA practices about how good he's looked. And I kind of look at the top of this draft class and I kind of say, this kind of reminds me of the 2016 class, where it feels like there are like 7 guys that could be really good from this class. There's like 7 or 8 guys that feels like they could make an all-star team at a certain point in their carear. But they're
like 2016 draft style.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like that's the vibe I get from this draft class.
Yeah.
But they're all so young, and like I know Mobley really struggled in the playoffs, but like for how good he is on defense at his age, and some of the flashes that some of these guys have shown, and how young some of these guys. Josh Giddey is, I think he just turned 21.
Yeah.
Like, and like we've talked about Şengün before. Franz is another guy in this class. Like,
I like a lot of like the guys. I'm actually looking at it. A lot of these guys I actually like a lot too. Like I know it's like a bit, but like Corey Kispert and like Jalen Johnson, I think are going to be like in the NBA for like a long time. Mamu is in there.
Mamu's not good at all.
Please come on. All right, Jaden Springer.
Also, it's a Sixers podcast. I can't say it.
Okay. Well, the Sixers podcast. Charles Bassey.
Yeah, our best player we drafted in the 2021 class.
Yeah. You've got like Kuminga. You got Quentin Grimes. You know, we talked about Trey Murphy, Alperen Şengün at length, and you got like Franz and Giddey, who are like really strong. Scotty Barnes, the enigma. Scotty Barnes. I think we should put this. I'm looking at this draft. I think this draft should be C for now, but I could see this one like being like really high in like 4 years or 3 years.
C. But this is also, these guys have only played 2 years in the NBA.
That's true. But I don't know, so let's project. Okay, like let's make arguments. Who do we think is going to be the best player in this class?
Evan Mobley or Franz Wagner.
Yeah. Do we think Evan Mobley or Franz Wagner are going to be Hall of Fame players?
Mobley, yes.
Reasonable chance. Yeah.
Mobley's got a shot. Franz is honestly, he's got a shot. They're both really, I think I said at the redraft I would take Franz number 1 overall. And like, look, I can't quit these guys that were such high prospects. Like it's hard for me to like just like completely give up on Jalen Green. Like I said, like I need to see a year of normal shit around him. And like, can you just like, I think there are enough swing guys in this class between Cade and Green and those guys that like at a certain point, if they can just like make a shot at the NBA level, if you're Cade, like that's a tough thing for me. Like,
you're right. B. I think B is a good.
I think this is a B because I think that Giddey is another guy that's like trending up. I make fun of Scotty Barnes, but like he's good. Like he's good. I mean,
he's good.
Like all right. So we're gonna put it at B for right now. We have no A tier classes, by the way.
Kevin O'Trill strikes again.
No A tier.
No A tier.
Should we just get rid of the A tier and then rename this tier
the
A tier?
That's what I was saying. I think that's what's gonna end up happening.
Yeah. Well, we can just delete it if we don't have anything. So
let's make sure that we don't have one of these last 2 draft classes. We don't decide to put it in the A tier.
Well, these 2 were basically all projecting.
Yeah.
This is 2022.
Yep.
We have number 1 overall pick was Paulo Banchero. We also have some standout rookies this year were Walker Kessler, Jalen Williams, our guys, AJ Griffin and Tari Eason, Mark Williams, Jalen Duren, Keegan Murray. And then we had Chet Holmgren, who missed his rookie year. We had Jabari Smith, who had a really bad rookie year, but looked much better in summer league. Man, I'm going because you can't count on something like Vort for this because like there are guys like Jaden Ivey who I still like he's 41st. Jeremy Sohan is 42nd. Benedict Mathurin is 44. Those guys at a certain point
was like and he was like all team. It wasn't like Benedict Mathurin had a bad year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he was all rookie. You know, it's just kind of what this is. You know,
he just doesn't pass or play defense, which is going to be dinged. And also Shaedon Sharp's another guy that is hated by analytics, but also showed enough that he's going to have a career in the NBA.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a pretty good draft. Like, to be honest, like a lot of these guys have at least showed they belonged in the NBA already, like as second, which is like, you know, like even someone like Jabari, like kind of stabilized, you know what I'm saying? Like, Jabari's an NBA player, you know, I don't know how good he'll be, but like, he's definitely an NBA player at the very least. And you've got guys like Jalen Williams and, the big Jazz white guy, what's his name?
Walker Kessler,
who's like really good.
He was great as a rookie. Yeah.
Like, you know, and like Chet looks like Chet's going to be like pretty good. And you know, there's just like a lot of Christian Brown is like was pretty good for an NBA championship team. And you've got guys like Ochai Agbaji who have showed some stuff. AJ Griffin, who like you and I are both very high on. Keegan.
Yeah.
Like this is for a second year. There's a lot of guys who have shown themselves to be NBA players.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a draft class in like 3 years.
Okay. The only thing I want to push back on here a little bit.
Yeah.
All of the guys you mentioned that stood out, except for, I believe, AJ Griffin are all older.
That's true.
Keegan Murray is about to turn 23.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Williams is 22. Walker Kessler is 22. So these guys, look, age isn't everything, but when you're trying to project forward, if you're 22 and you have a great rookie year, or 21 in a lot of these guys' cases, it's easier to do that than when you're 19, especially when you're 19 and you have a ton of responsibilities and you're given the ball and told to run an offense and shit like that. But you also have guys like Paolo who, you know, kind of actually on the whole struggled a little bit. Someone sent me something recently that compared Paolo and Cade's rookie year stats, and they were almost identical, except Cade had more assists, basically.
Wow.
Like, but that's the difference when you're Paolo Banchero and you start off amazing and clearly belonged in the NBA and was able to like capably run an offense as a rookie for stretches. And then there's guys like Cade who start horribly, have injuries, and then kind of bounce back by the end of their rookie year, but can't stay healthy. And we kind of look positively on one and we look negatively on the other, at least here on this podcast. And there is an argument to be made that, you know, I think this class has a lot of depth at the very least. Like, I think at the very least you have, and then I think there are a lot of guys that just like, as it stands right now, feel like they have a lot of upside. Mm-hmm. I like this class quite a bit. Like, I think it's really good. Mm-hmm. It's so hard for me to project.
I think it's a B tier class right now. I think that's the safe way to project this class.
Half of these teams are in B tier. Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that is the
average
bell.
draft, right?
Yeah, that is the bell you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And then we probably shouldn't even. What's this other one at the bottom you have?
I accidentally put one from 2009 twice.
Okay, gotcha.
So we have the last one here is the 2023 draft, which obviously none of these players have played, so we're just completely projecting on this one. But you have Victor Wembanyama at the top, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson, the Thompson twins, Anthony Black, Bilal Coulibaly, Jarris Walker, Taylor Hendricks, Cason Wallace.
I'll be bold. This is an A tier draft.
Wow. You're feeling good about this draft.
I feel great about this draft. I really like this draft class.
I like this draft class quite a bit too.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Because if you're projecting, you're saying Scoot and Victor are
Hall of Famers.
But also, how would we be projecting, let's say 2021, if we were doing this 2 years ago and we were like Evan Mobley, Cade, like, I guess none of them are Wemby tier prospects though.
No, like we wouldn't have, like I know we wouldn't have, because we were making the jokes about Scotty Barnes. Like, we knew that was all horse shit when like.
No, I'm not saying after his rookie year. I'm saying before like at the time of the draft. Like, if we did this 2 months after the 2021 draft.
Yeah, I don't think we would have. I wasn't sure Evan Mobley was going to be good. I definitely wasn't sure Scotty Barnes. That was kind of a reach.
I mean,
Scotty Barnes at 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel I really like, maybe that's because I scouted this draft class a lot more and I put more work in.
I didn't scout nearly as much for 2021. Mobley was a guy I liked, but I didn't know nearly as much, to be completely honest.
There's a lot of guys I could see. Like, there are guys like way down in this draft class, like Dariq Whitehead, that I think could really be like a good, like.
Yeah, I thought this was a deep class, to be honest.
Yeah. So I think it's a deep class, and it's also got like the blue chip guys at the top that I feel pretty good about, like having a shot at being like all-time grades. So
yeah, there are enough variance guys at the top of this draft between the Thompson twins. I like Jarris Walker a lot. He's a guy that I was kind of high on coming into this draft. Cason Wallace is another guy I think that has sneaky good upside. So yeah, I'm with you in that I really like this draft. It's funny because we were trying to project like who would be the surefire stars from this draft, who would be the bust from this draft, all that stuff before the draft out of the lottery. And now it's a little bit clearer to me who I think would be. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say before any of these guys have played any NBA games to really have like.
It's going to be really funny when the two best players in this draft are Jet Howard and Jalen Hood-Schifino.
No,
There's 2 Hall of Famers.
Parm vindicated after Summer League. Keontae George was.
Yeah, Keontae George was. Yeah, he went to the mat for Keontae George, but clearly all the teams also thought that. Like everyone wanted Keontae George. That the rat bastard Danny Ainge.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on. We have. Do I have my Keontae George ranking here? I want to see where I had him on my board. I had him at number. I think I had him at 11. I had him at 12. Nah, I wish I had him higher. I'm really mad at myself. I did have him highest of all the combo guards, to be fair. I had other guys like Hood Schifino and Nick Smith and all those guys much lower. But Keontae, I have a feeling I'm going to end up regretting that. Like, Keontae was so good at Summer League. He's a beast. Okay. So here's our final rankings. All right, you ready?
Okay.
We have created the S. Oh God, I probably shouldn't have created an SS tier. Now that I think about it, Jesus Christ. We have super. Let's change this. S plus.
Oh yeah.
How did no one point that out?
I didn't think about it either. I don't know. Wow, we're as the only anti-Nazi NBA podcast. We have to,
yeah.
We're taking a beating today.
Apology. Jesus Christ, dude. All right, S plus.
We did it on the fly. You could like see us being morons in real time. We're not.
Oh,
sorry.
Apologize. I apologize. Yes.
We were doing the thing.
All right. So S plus, we have 2018.
Yep.
I just feel like if we have that in S plus, like, is that only because these guys have not, like I said, recency bias? We're projecting forward, but we know enough about them already. There are a lot of top guys, but like, what are the odds that this draft turns out better than the top of? I know it has a lot of depth too, but what are the odds that this draft turns out a lot better than fucking 2009 or 2011, which has Steph Curry in 2009, James Harden. 2011 has Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler. 2014, I know that it has the 2 MVPs, but I'm okay leaving it in S just because I don't think the rest of that draft is great. But you're going top talent. And like Luka and SGA are amazing, but we're comparing them to guys who are already done their careers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, not as amazing as S plus is, S has a top 10 player of all time in Steph Curry in it.
That's true.
And we know that he's a top 10 player.
That's true. Like that argument is settled.
And then Jokic has a chance to be that.
Yeah. Jokic certainly looking that way. He has the same amount of MVPs Steph has already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and probably should have more than Steph. If I hadn't
if you hadn't derailed it.
If I hadn't put my thumb on the scale as one of the most powerful media members. Yeah. If I hadn't mind jujitsu'd Bill and Russillo. I love that Bill is always going to be mad about that forever. That Bill couldn't stick to his guns, and you knew he didn't want to vote for Embiid. He didn't, but he did. Yeah, and forever in history, it will say the year that Jokic won a championship, Bill Simmons didn't believe in him enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so we have S plus. We have DeAndre Ayton. DeAndre Ayton. That's it. I'm literally just looking at the picture of DeAndre Ayton. I was gonna say DeAndre Ayton's draft. And as Kev says in the comments, can I see SGA or Luka win a single MVP? Can I see it?
Yeah. Can I see it?
Can I see
it? Yeah.
Yes. So 2009 also in the S plus. Do we put 2011? Do we keep 2011 and 2014 in the?
Yes. I think the rest of this is pretty good, to be honest.
I struggle with 2014, which has 2 MVPs, and the only other drafts that has 2 MVPs is 2009.
That's true. But the rest of it is so dog shit, though.
It's not dog shit. It's got good players. Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Marcus Smart, and Aaron Gordon. Like, it's just not, it doesn't go from MVP to 5-time All-Star.
Yeah, it doesn't have any of those
other Hall of Famers. Like,
let me look at this. Let me look at this one more time. I mean, like, look, man, it goes to like Bogdanovich is 13 in that class. Then you've got like Jordan Clarkson, TJ Warren, Joe Harris.
2018 has the best depth of any of these classes, but also only one guy is for sure going to make the Hall of Fame in Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fine where it is. I know there's 2 MVPs, but like there's also like a pretty weak outside. Once you get outside the top 10, it gets rough fast. Like,
okay. So we have the S plus tier. We have 2018, 2009. S tier is 2011. Mm-hmm. Oh, God, that's tough for me. Also 2014. A tier is 2023, the Wemby draft. The B tier is 2016, 2012, 2017, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So that's basically every draft recently. The C tier is the Giannis draft 2013 and 2015. And then the D tier is the 2010 draft and the 2019 draft. I can't believe we ended up not putting 2013 and 2015 in the bottom tier, and we had 2 other drafts that we did.
Yeah, Giannis. That's the power of Giannis, baby.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's basically just Giannis and Booker are dragging those classes up by a lot.
A lot, yeah. It's just
okay, last thing before we get out of here.
Yep.
Actually, I do want to talk about the Bill thing, but I think we're going to have to save it for next week.
Yeah, let's just do it next week. Yeah.
You'll get a chance to listen to it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. 2010 had Paul George, John Wall, Boogie Cousins, Gordon Hayward. Those are like the 4 best players in that draft. If we have 2015 above it, we're essentially putting 2015 there because of Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns. But did they have better careers than Paul George and John Wall?
No, but also I think that draft class was a lot deeper, the 2015 draft class, because that has Porzingis, mind you, who's I think could have a better career than Boogie Cousins. There's
maybe,
I guess but like it goes,
2015 has good role players. I can't remember the 2010 draft off the top of my head, but I don't think it does. I think that's why we put.
Yeah, I think we were pretty low on it for that exact reason. Yeah, it goes to Hassan Whiteside. It's Greg Monroe and Hassan Whiteside are 6 and 7. Eric Bledsoe is the 5th best player in that draft. Like, that's tough. Patrick Patterson is 9th. No, we did this right.
Yeah.
Good job us. Good job us from 2 hours ago.
All right. Last thing before we officially get out of here.
Yeah.
You have one more chance to move either 2011 and 2014 up to the top tier. Do you choose to do it?
No.
Okay. So this is it.
You're really losing sleep over this. If you want,
I don't know.
If you really want to move, I don't want you to get mad at me later. I don't want this to turn into.
I just have a hard time believing
this is going to be my Gobert trade 2.0, where you're like mad at me for like a year because I talked you out of something you knew in your heart of hearts. With my contrarianism, this is.
I was like, how did Sam convince me this wasn't the worst trade of all time?
I mean, look, I always said it was a bad trade.
And you hate Rudy Gobert.
I do hate Rudy Gobert, but I thought they would be better in the regular season. I really did. They were not.
All right, 2014 has 2 MVPs. I'm moving it up to the top.
Okay.
But 2011 is a better draft. All right, whatever. I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it as it is. I'm not going to touch it.
I love how
I'm going to lose sleep over this. Yeah. I promise you. I care a lot about drafts. This is very important to me.
Jokic is going to win 3 MVPs probably. He'll probably win MVP again next year.
And Embiid won the one in between. So that class has 4 straight MVPs. And Jokic probably would have won 4 straight MVPs if it weren't for Sam Sheehan.
Yeah. Yeah, he would.
And Kendrick Perkins.
Personally, yeah. Me and Kendrick, we huddled up. We were like, Time to get this guy out of here.